Welcome back to another Solidworks tutorial. So today's project assignment, PJ number 10, will be to create this model and create a drawing file of this model as well. So there's the details required for the drawing, and if we go to the next page, you can see the drawing itself. Zoom in a little bit to show you dimensions for the detail over here. This view, this is a top view, and then there's this section view right here, which it's basically trying to get you to look at the side of the part, but because its feature is diagonal, it'd be kind of hard to find if you get a front, it's going to be sideways. So they use a sectional view here so you can capture the features of that diagonal. That's what we're going to be doing today. So you'll want to start with all your planes turned on, and we'll be setting up our diagonal plane here. So initially you'll be creating an axis, and let's see what to do on two planes, and you're trying to get it so it's the vertical line. So let's see, front plane and right plane. Okay, so that's that. There's the line right there. Oh, I have to show it first to be able to extend it. Okay, so there's the axis. So that's the axis. Now that's a reference point. With your front plane, you'll create the plane that's at an angle. So you go to reference geometry down to plane. You'll click that, and you'll let's see. No, we don't want the first reference to be that. We want the first reference to be the front plane, and the second reference is the axis. So you'll have to use the drop down and find the axis and set the angle to 45 degrees. That's pointed the wrong way, so just make sure it's flipped. Okay, so there's your plane that you're going to reference that other feature off of. So just hit the check, and you can just kind of extend it so you can see it easier. I mean, it doesn't have to be very big, just all for reference. Okay, and you can hide your axis. You don't need that anymore. Let's go ahead and hide that plane in the beginning, and we're gonna just model the first part, the first feature of the part. So just select the top plane and hit normal to, and we'll do an extruded boss base, center rectangle, take it off the center point, just kind of draw it out, and we'll take smart dimension for the first section. Let's see, this is 5 inches, and this one should be 7 inches, and that's all there is for that feature. We'll hit the check, and blind, it's 0.5 thick, and hit the check. So there's your bottom flat plate of your part. You'll want to add the holes that are cut out, but I want to show a new way of, or a different way of doing this. It's a lot easier than having to manually edit circle by circle in the sketch. So just go ahead and hit normal to, extruded cut, select that surface, and you'll draw your first circle. And just make sure you get it all dimensions. So that is 0.75, and it's one from this edge and one from this edge, and that's all there is. You'll hit the check, and up to next, on the extrusion, hit the check, and then here's where it gets fun. So you want to do a linear pattern. You can do, there's all sorts of different patterns you could do here. Circular, you could just mirror it across a plane. You can have a table-driven pattern, which you have like many variables, and you can create all sorts of cool patterns. So all we're going to use is the linear pattern for right now. Select it. You want to say direction 1, click the right plane, and it shows a second circle right here for your duplicate circle. But because we are 1 inch from the wall and we are 7 inches wide, if you subtract 1 inch starting and 1 inch from the other side, it's going to be 5 inches apart. That's how this measures. It's circle to circle, not edge to edge or edge to the circle. There could be up to a reference. So if you had a reference plane or something over here, you could just have it snap to the reference. But we'll just do spacing for right now. So we'll say 5 inches, hit enter, and it just puts it over there. You could have just mirrored it if you'd wanted to. I'll show that in a moment as an option. But initially here, we've got direction 1's the right plane, direction 2 will be the front plane, and here we have 5 inches minus 2 is 3, and there's your pattern, and you'll hit the check, and there's your pattern, and you've got your holes like that. Alternatively, if we just suppress this and start over, hit normal 2, you could select that and say mirror, and you'd want to mirror across this plane, and you're going to have to do this twice. It's not like the other pattern. You'll have to exit out of that and then select the cut extrude and the mirror with control. So if you just select cut extrude, control, mirror, it'll select just those, and then you'll say again mirror across the front plane, and there's your features. So that's an alternative way of doing that. It's probably simpler if you don't know the distance separate, you just know everything's equal. But to reduce the number of steps involved, I like to use the patterns. There's your first step, and so we're getting to the diagonal feature. So go ahead and turn on that plane that we had hidden before, the diagonal plane. We'll go ahead and show it, and then we'll start sketching on that plane. So plane, normal to, that looks kind of funny. Let's try showing it trimetric, and that'll be a little easier to see what's going on. And we'll do an extruded boss base with that as the reference. And let's just kind of try to see, this is why the drawing shows a sectional, because it's kind of hard to get this view. And let's just start sketching. So we've got ourselves horizontal. And just start sketching it, and then we'll get to the dimensions in a moment. So okay. Initially, you do want that bottom line to have a relation with the top of the part to be collinear. That'll snap it. And then we'll start playing with our dimensions here. See, this is going to be tricky. Be interesting to do this. So our first dimension here is 2.5. Our width of this is 3. The width of this groove is 0.25. The distance of the bottom to the surface of this is 0.75. And then the width here is 0.25. So using add relation, you could set that line and that line equal. So that gets us a little bit closer. It's going to be a little funny now because of this. Why is this perpendicular? That shouldn't be perpendicular. Those should be kind of separate at the moment. Okay, let's just make sure we add a relation for the midpoint to be aligned with the axis coincident. That way it'll be centered on the part. And we'll set that first angle here right here, be 45 degrees. And let's see, why is that? Why does it think those are linked together? There's definitely a relationship that's binding that. And see, you can't say that the points are on the same level. Like if you add a relation right now, and I'll show you that real quick. If you put those 2 points together and just kind of say horizontal, it breaks everything. So we can't do that. We have to be a little bit more creative here for getting this angle to match up with that angle. So the way I did this to set the two angles together was I just went ahead and made another smart dimension off of this, and I can just call it whatever, 45 also. But what we're gonna do is we'll go into up to the menu bar where you've got file and edit, all that stuff. Go to tools and go down to equations, and you'll see all the dimensions shown in the whole drawing, the whole model, everything. And what you're trying to do is set the two angles together. And you just want to be careful not to edit your plane by accident. So let's see if I can show this, because you guys can't see that just yet. Let's see, turn that on. Right, so that's what it looks like. So what you're looking for are those last two dimensions that we gave, so D6 and D7. And what you really want to do is we need to make sure that that's, what is that one? Is that D6? That's D7, okay. So we want D7 to be equal to D6. So hit equals and click on D6 and just hit enter, and it'll lock that. So now you've got an equation that says that D7 is now equal to D6. So whenever you change D6, they'll move together. This is a different way of making relations. This is a great way for making things like configurators and tools for engineers and designers to modify models and drawings on the fly, just depending on different elements and characteristics given to you from the customer. So if the customer wants this to be 5 inches wide instead of 3 inches, you could programmatically put it in equations and and make a formula that depends on, you know, I want this part to weigh such and such, and it'll automatically change all your dimensions. Or I want this dimension to change variable. It could be whatever infinite length you want, and all the other dimensions stay the same, or scale up depending on how big things get. It's so flexible and so fun to use, because that's what you know that's what engineers use. That's what designers use. In the industry, they'll use this a lot. Regularly, you'll have configurators in things, in SolidWorks, in Inventor, and all the tools. You'll have configurators that use equation-based calculations and equation-based dimensions to size your part and your features and your model. So, getting back to this, um, we've already set this up, so we'll hit OK and give it a second, and you can see here that this angle now has like this funny looking summation symbol on it, and that's because they're equal to each other. And the last element that we missed here is that this line right here just has to be equal in length to the other side. We'll just set the two equal, and that should be it. Let's just make sure. There could be something I missed. The placement of that. So really the placement of that is like midpoint. So again, we have to find the midpoint, add relation, and we'll set it to that axis and hit coincident, and there. So that kind of just set that right in the middle of the sketch. And then that's it. Everything's defined. It's all black. You hit the check and it starts sketching. But we want this to be mid-plane. And let's see how wide this is. This is 2.75 wide. And hit OK. And there's your part. So we'll do the drawing template next. Since this video has gone for a little bit of time here, I'll give you some time to review how to generate the model, and I'll be posting the drawing walkthrough tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe for more content.